Turns out if you're like me and you've been playing Monster Hunter Rise or Sunbreak at 60 frames per second, you've been playing on hard mode. Pidgey hunts. Welcome back, Classic Crew. This is a very informal and very different video, as you can see. So first of all, I'm in a different location over the next month, enjoying my summer in a special place. But don't worry, I've got all the streaming gear and stuff so I can keep making videos. It's just going to be a little bit of a different setup. But hey, brought my mug, so we're still good. And of course, the important stuff, all the gear. Anyways, today, I want to share with you something I came across. So I was just scrolling Twitter one day and I came across this video of someone doing the Great Sword's True Charge Slash. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know what that was before that video, but basically they showed that in the 30 frames per second version of the game, the True Charge Slash goes to level 2 right away versus 30, anything above 30 frames per second. Whether you play at 60, 90, 120, unlimited, it takes more time to charge your Great Sword. And so I was like, okay, what does that mean? So I learned that means that at 30 frames per second, it's easier to output some damage. I was like, that's potentially a game changer. And so I started looking around as what else did this game, what are the other differences? Do the other weapons charge differently? And upon my research, I came across more information that suggests monsters are more precise at 60 frames per second and up, or anything above 30 frames per second. So basically they will track you better. There's a few videos out there, but there doesn't seem to be like a cohesive, hey, here's the difference between 30 frames per second and everything over 30 frames per second plus. Now, I'm not usually a tech guy. I don't get into these technicalities of gameplay or anything. So I was really curious to test this, but I couldn't do it myself because I'm still not that well versed in the game despite me playing it for so long. So what I did is I recruited the help of our moderators. So we got Miniguylad Blue, and I asked them, hey, can you guys look into this, test it out, see if this is still the case, and is there really a difference? And so Miniguylad Blue went at it, and actually Blue recorded a video showing everything in detail. He did a way better job. I was only expecting him to send me some footage so I could talk about it, but he did amazing narration. He's mod in the Discord, mod in the Twitch, and he's also, you see him drop massive paragraphs as the instructor in the YouTube comments. So I'm gonna let Blue take it and show you exactly the difference that True Charge Slash offers at Rise at different frame per second, how the monsters are different, and what he found when trying out different weapons. So over to Blue.
Hey guys, Blue here. Been doing a little investigating. Today I'm testing the True Charge Slash 30 frames per second discrepancy that everyone's talking about. We'll be running this off of version 10.0.30. We will be using all the basic switch skills for the Great Sword, and we're not going to have any armor skills to get this as pure as possible. We're going to be starting off on the switch, which is a natural 30 frames per second. There will be no charging for any of these tests, because the only discrepancy occurs when charging. So as you can see, after the True Charge Slash, we end up with a total of 320 damage. So from here on out, the goal is to try to match this number. So we're going to set the PC down to 30 frames per second, and we're going to try to hit all the same spots to see if we can get the same number. So here we are, 4 hits, True Charge Slash, no charging, we get 320 damage. It's the same. Let's go up to just 60 frames. So we're now above 30 frames per second. We go for the hits, and I unleash. I go for 4 hits, and I get a different number. I end up with 227 damage. Well, I hit a little bit left, so I'm thinking maybe I hit in the wrong spot. I know the left can actually be considered a weak spot, so if anything, it'd be higher. So I try again, I get 227. I give it one more go. Make sure I'm angled towards that nose, and I end up, once again, with 227 damage. So somehow, I'm lower. So we're going to stay at 60 frames per second. But this time, I'm going to charge it up to level 3 to try to match that number. We end up with 416 damage, so it's too high. It's not 320. The discrepancy says that it's automatically charging level 2. So we're going to test that theory. We're now going to go to level 2 charge. So I'm going to give it another hit, and we're going to charge up just to level 2. 1, 2, and let it go. And what do I get? I get 320 damage. So I make sure that once again, I have to double check my numbers. We're going to slow things down just to make sure. Perfect hit on that nose. And once again, I hit 320 damage with a level 2 charge. So we know that 16 up, there's a problem. So I go back down to 30 to double check my work. So we're going to slow things down and we're going to see what's going on here. Now right there, you saw my color change. I went from red to kind of that orange color. That was me upping a charge, but I didn't choose to up a charge. So we're going to do a side by side. On your left we have the 60 frames per second. On the right we have 30 frames per second. We have no charge at the end, yet 30 FPS does get a level 2 charge. Again, let's watch that again, but let's slow it down. So you see that on the right? Whoosh, that different color? Right there. That is a higher level charge, even though I'm not charging. Now I tested this with every weapon, and sure enough, almost every weapon had some sort of slight discrepancy. Now granted, they were very minor, to the point of it being less than a second difference between hits and hit lag and things of that nature. The reason this is occurring, I think, has to do with higher frame rates, slows down player combos, and alters the movement's physics, and essentially that means affect the motion values even in the game. But these minor differences isn't going to make or break a run, or even really bother anyone. Now I said the weapons won't affect your run. However, there is another thing that actually may affect your run. Something weird happens when you change the frame rate when you're fighting monsters. So we're starting things off. I'm just going to be doing a little walking around. As you can see, I can dodge his balls just fine. He does a little jump at me, dodge it. Next up, more balls, easy. He does a tail, pretty close, but not too close. This tail was pretty close, but he doesn't get me. This one's pretty far, so, you know, we can excuse that one pretty easily. But let's see what happens when I kick it up to more frames. Once I do that, we start seeing some changes. First, not lucky, that's all that was. It was bad luck, you know, then that doesn't count. I was getting up, so we're not going to count that, right? But then I get hit by this. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I get hit by this. But that looked pretty dead on. But this? I don't think so. And so again, dodge some more balls, okay. And then this one occurs. And this one's definitely a nope. Did not hit. Again, he goes for a little dodge, but he gets me with that one. I go from my left to right, he blasts me with that. And he even nicks me with that. Like, what the heck is going on? So let's slow these down. So that hits, it's like, but that first one looked like it could hit. This next one, this one, you can see, like, that does not hit me, but it counts as a hit. And then the next one is even more egregious. Like, that does not hit me. However, you go back to 30 frames per second and miss. Like, but that misses me. So this is a hit. This is a miss. You're telling me this misses me. In here, I'm sheathing my weapon. I'm close to the monster, yet I get away. On the other one, I get nailed. So let's talk about what's happening here. It's like, is it better AI? Not really. Basically, the game aims at where you are. And even though you're running from left to right, at 30 frames, it picks where you were. And it's going to be attacking there. At higher frames, it acknowledges a little bit better of where you actually are. So the monsters can adjust slightly. So I did this with many different monsters. And in this experiment, I was merely walking around. You're not going to be walking everywhere. You're going to be running and rolling and blocking and all kinds of things. So it's very minor, but that slight tracking could essentially result in a hit. And those hits are downtime. And that downtime could be you recovering or healing or a cart, which can make or break a speed run or an actual just a hunt in general. So that's kind of interesting. So it looks like having 30 frames makes the game slightly easier, like very like minor. All right, that's my research. Back to you, Jay.
Thanks, Blue, for all of those detailed analysis and for putting so much time and effort to actually do this little research for us, for me, and for the community. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Ultimately, does this change the experience? No. When I say 30 frames per second is easier, I'm just being a little cheeky. Like, yes, it is, but you could argue it's not that big of a difference. But some might argue, hey, that is quite of a difference. Like, I'm getting hit way more often when I'm playing on PC at 60 frames per second. Well, this might be the reason, or maybe it's just, I don't know, maybe you got to get better. I don't know. So we found these differences. You let me know if you think these are important or not. And if you found anything else that we might have missed, drop it down in the comments. Let's get to the bottom of this mystery of 30 frames per second up. And if you're someone technical that can explain why is this happening, I'd also love to hear what your thoughts are on that. So drop that in the comments. And otherwise, I will see you on the next video or stream. And until next time, keep it classy. Do 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 do. Subscribe.